Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer from Nexa Academy. Today, we are going to tackle one of the most important concepts in the world of crypto, the Bitcoin wallet. You know, if you really want to own and control your Bitcoin, this is a topic you absolutely have to understand. So let's dive right in.
All right, so you've done it. You went on an exchange, you clicked buy, and you bought some Bitcoin. It's sitting there in your account, you can see the dollar value, but this brings up a really critical question. Do you actually own it? Or are you just holding a kind of IOU from a company? That distinction is right at the heart of everything we're going to talk about today.
And to answer that question, we first need to get a handle on what a Bitcoin wallet really is. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like your own personal digital vault. It's a tool that gives you direct and exclusive control over your assets without having to ask anyone for permission.
Okay, let's get a tiny bit more technical, but I promise we'll keep it simple. At its core, a Bitcoin wallet is basically just software or a piece of hardware that manages something called your private keys. Now, these keys are the whole secret sauce. They're secret, cryptographic codes. Just think of them as the one and only key to your digital vault. If you have those keys, you have the Bitcoin. It's as simple as that. If someone else has them, well then, they do.
And this brings us to a super important idea: custodial versus self-custody. See, when you keep your Bitcoin on an exchange, that's called custodial. It's kind of like using a bank's vault. They hold the keys for you, and you have to trust that they'll give you your stuff back when you ask. Self-custody is the opposite. It means you are the only one who holds the keys. You don't just use the vault, you own the vault. For anyone who's serious about security, this is the end goal.
Now, moving from an exchange to actually holding your own Bitcoin can feel a little intimidating at first. So it really helps to think of it as a journey. It's a step-by-step path where you gradually increase your security and your control, and you end up with what a lot of people call financial sovereignty. Let's walk through what those steps usually look like.
For most of us, the journey looks something like this. You start out by buying Bitcoin on an exchange. That's step one. The first real step towards self-custody, though, is moving those funds to what's called a software wallet. Then, as your holdings grow, you'll probably want to upgrade to a hardware wallet for way better security. And finally, if you really go down the rabbit hole, advanced users might even explore things like running their own node or using multi-signature wallets, which just adds even more layers of security.
So what does that first big step actually look like? Well, it means using a software wallet. These are basically just apps that you can install on your phone or on your desktop computer. For phones, you've got really popular options like Blue Wallet or Blockstream Green. For desktops, a wallet called Electrum has been around forever and is really trusted. What all these do is they generate your private keys right there on your own device, which means you're in control for the very first time. All right, so once you're comfortable using a software wallet, the next major upgrade is a hardware wallet. This is what pretty much everyone considers the gold standard for security for the average person. It creates this almost impenetrable barrier between your private keys and the online world. So you might be wondering, when should I actually get one of these? A pretty good rule of thumb is to seriously consider a hardware wallet once your Bitcoin holdings are worth around $1,000 or more. I mean, these devices usually cost between $100 and $200, so it's a really sensible investment to protect a larger amount. Now, as you can see, there are several really well-known brands out there, like Coldcard, Trezor, and Ledger. But here's the thing, no matter which one you pick, they all do the same, absolutely critical job. They are built for one purpose: to create and store your private keys completely offline. This means your keys are never, ever exposed to the internet, even when you plug the device into your computer to send a transaction. Now, owning one of these devices does come with a few best practices. First, and this is a big one, always order it directly from the manufacturer to avoid any tampering. For a little extra privacy, maybe think about shipping it to a P.O. box instead of your house. You also want to be really careful with firmware updates to avoid any phishing scams. And most importantly, before you load up the device with all your funds, test out your recovery procedure with just a tiny amount. That way you know for sure you can get your wallet back if you ever need.
Okay, so you've got your wallet, it's all set up. How do you actually use it? Let's quickly go over the two main things you'll be doing: sending and receiving Bitcoin. To receive Bitcoin, it's super simple. You just open up your wallet, you hit receive, and it'll generate a brand new Bitcoin address for you, usually showing it as a QR code. You share that code or the address with the person sending to you. Once they send it, it's a really good idea to wait for at least one network confirmation. This just makes sure the transaction is locked in and can't be reversed.
Sending is just as easy. You'll scan the other person's QR code or maybe paste their address into your wallet. After that, you'll type in the amount, double and triple check that all the details are correct, and then you'll set a transaction fee. Just so you know, a higher fee usually means your transaction gets confirmed by the network a lot faster.
Okay, I need you to listen really closely now, because we've gotten to the single most important part of this whole thing. When you first create any of these non-custodial wallets, you're given something called a seed phrase. This is not just some password. This is the master key to all of your funds.
What you'll get is a list of 12, or maybe 24, simple, everyday words. These words, in their exact order, can be used to recreate your entire wallet, all your private keys, all your funds, on any other compatible device anywhere in the world. It is your ultimate backup plan. Let that sink in for a second. I'm going to read this directly from the screen because it is just that important. Anyone who gets these 12 or 24 words will have the ability to steal your Bitcoin. There's no customer support, there's no reset button. The security of every last bit of your Bitcoin rests entirely on how you protect this one phrase. So, let's be crystal clear about what you should never, ever do with these words. First, never take a screenshot of them. Never save them in a text file or on a cloud drive like Google Drive or Dropbox. Absolutely never type them into a website or even into your computer. And never, under any circumstances, give them to anyone, no matter who they say they are. Your job is to write them down on paper, or maybe even stamp them into metal, and store that somewhere safe and completely offline.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a ton of ground, from what a wallet is all the way to the critical importance of that seed phrase. So let's just boil all of this down into a few core principles for owning your Bitcoin securely. So if you walk away with just 4 things from this, let it be these. Number 1, true ownership means self-custody. It means you hold your own keys. Number 2, improving your security is a gradual journey, not some big, scary leap. Number 3, hardware wallets are the gold standard for securing any amount of Bitcoin that's meaningful to you. And finally, number 4, that 12 or 24 word seed phrase is your master key. Protecting it is your absolute highest priority.
You know, all of this leads to a final and pretty powerful question. Self-custody gives you complete freedom and control over your own money. But it also comes with complete responsibility. It means you are in charge. So with everything you now know, are you ready to be your own bank?
If you found this helpful, subscribe for more concept explainers from Nexa Academy. Thanks for watching.